Hello, family, friends, and fans. I'm Fletcher and this is Fletch Made a Thing. Today on Fletch Made a Thing, what are the new 6 designations? Well, you might not even know what I'm talking about. You might not even know who I am or what this is. Fair enough. I'm Fletcher and this is Fletch Made a Thing. It's a question and answer type show where you can pop in your questions and comments in the comments section of my YouTube channel or Facebook page. I'll get back to you. Then I'll go ahead and talk about anything I want to talk about. It's one of the reasons I call it Fletch Made a Thing. Another is that I'm Fletch. Fletcher Roden, if you don't know me, I'm a writer mostly. I got a ton of books available under my name and others. They're fiction and nonfiction, available in paperback and for Kindle and in audiobook format. If you've got Audible or iTunes and you're into that sort of thing, check me out. I'm also a recording artist with lots of music available to download all over the internet. If you'd like to download your favorite music, you can download mine. I also have t-shirts and paintings you can buy directly in coffee mugs, such as this one. Look, it's a Sopranos joke. Hal Melvoin. He was Corrado Soprano's lawyer in The Sopranos. Okay, all the best jokes need to be explained. Anyway, you go to my website, FletcherRoden.com. There's more information there. Uh, I suggest you subscribe to this channel. That'll make finding these Fletch Made a Thing videos easier, and that will make getting a free book easier because I give away a free book at the end of every month. It's not just one book, though. It's unlimited downloads for the entire last week of the month. It's a different kind of a book every month. It's a Kindle edition, but you don't need a Kindle tablet to read it. You can just download the Kindle Reader app from Amazon. That's free, and then you can read it um, on your laptop or your telephone or your television or your wristwatch or wherever it is you like to read your books. This week is Freebie Week here on Fletch Made a Thing, and the book is uh, Tracking the Lone Wolf, The Sigma at Work, at Home, and at Play. It's a nonfiction book about the new designations. It re-examines, the idea of the sigma or the alpha and the beta, and it adds some new ones. These are new designations that I did not invent or create. I simply am, to a large extent, I'm a research writer in this capacity, and I'm bringing the information to you. Information you should know, especially if you're a sigma, like I am. So let's talk about that. Well, what is a. All right, first of all, we all know alpha and beta. Okay, this comes to us from a guy called Dave Meach and his research in the 1970s with captive wolves. And what he noticed was that there is a male which dominates the other males. And this is the male who's allowed to breed and who leads the hunt and who leads the pack. This is the alpha male. He coined that phrase, I believe. And then the other males were designated beta males. Another phrase he coined, I believe. And so this became popular in the 1980s when talking about the human race. For some reason, there were in the 80s. You remember the motto was "Greed is good." It was everybody's profiting, getting what they can, go, corporate, swimming with the sharks, only the sharpest teeth survive, alpha male. I'm the alpha, you're the beta. I lead, you follow. And that stuck. And the idea was women liked alpha males and they rejected beta males. So the whole alpha, first they applied the alpha male thing to the corporate world as a self-help thing, much like my book, Tracking the Lone Wolf, which is largely a corporate self-help book. It includes leadership strategies, management skills, communication skills, the skill sets that you need to survive in the professional or the familial or the social theater. Empathy, emotional intelligence, social skills, active listening, management techniques that are just proven by the best. And in large part, I'm a research writer here because I didn't invent those techniques. I'm just sharing them with you because I've written about them in literally dozens of books. Anyway, so here's what we've got: the alpha male, the alpha and beta. That's outdated. We know why. Well, first of all, the research was done on wolves in captivity, and that's not a fair assessment. At least Diane Fossey studied the apes and the chimps, the gorillas, the great apes. They're all great apes in the wild, in their own habitat, in their own world, where their behavior would be best observed, best documented. Jane Goodall, also. Both of them sigmas, if you're interested. So, for a variety of reasons, but they are. You'll learn about that in my book. Anyway, they are. So this alpha beta thing was done in captivity, and that's not a fair assessment. Also, it discounts the female of the species. It discounts the. I mean, where's the alpha female? It presumes that alpha males and beta females go together. And it's true that the alpha and the beta do make a better coupling than the alpha and the alpha. That's true. But it's not true to say that all women are betas. Not at all. There are plenty of alpha females, a ton. And that's why we need more designations. That's why alpha and beta just don't sum up the human experience. They don't. So let's talk about the alpha briefly. The alpha is, in fact, the natural leader. The alpha wants to lead. The alpha needs to lead. The alpha is often leads by force, as Meach says. The alpha is a status related creature. The alpha seeks to maintain the status quo, whereby it is at the head of the pack. The alpha is fiercely protective and loyal. The alpha is old fashioned. The alpha is implacable. The alpha does not like to be challenged for obvious reasons. The alpha is resistant to challenge because the alpha knows that it faces challenge at the end of its course. The alpha must be replaced by another alpha, either by time or by circumstance or by convention. The alpha has a limited reign, and the alpha knows it. The alpha is therefore insecure, mistrustful, oftentimes narcissistic, sometimes sociopathic. That's a term you'll learn about in this book and in my new show, Tracking the Lone Wolf, on its own YouTube channel. So the alpha is a leader, but not all he's cracked up to be. There are inherent weaknesses to being the alpha. Let's look briefly at the beta. Not subservient by nature, not lesser, but whereas the alpha is given to self-aggrandizement and self-glorification, which is key to maintaining their status, the beta forgoes that. The beta has a humility that the alpha doesn't have. The beta cares more for the greater good. The alpha cares more for the alpha good. The alpha is selfish in a way that the beta is not. The beta has all the drive, all the focus, all the intelligence, plus the humility, plus the active social conscience for the greater good. The beta is stronger than the alpha in the human circumstance, not prone to the vulnerabilities of the alpha, not prone to the insecurities. Now, the beta may have insecurities, and they are likely to be introverted, where the alpha is likely to be extroverted. So there are distinctions that you might recognize, but it's not so simple as alpha good, beta weak. Alpha strong, beta weak, alpha good, beta bad. Me Tarzan, you Jane. It ain't that don't cut it. Okay. All right. Let's move on then. The next one, it's a sort of a two-part. It's the omega and the gamma. Well, after the beta, we meet the omega and the gamma and the omega. These are, think of them as the non-starters. Think of them as your slackers. Think of them as the gamma is sort of a jokester type, and the omega is sort of a prankster type. So if this were the TV show The Office, Jim Halpert, a prankster, would be an omega. Sort of non focused on work, unfocused, undriven, intelligent, charming, uh, capable, capable of evolving. The alpha is not really capable of evolving. The beta is, and the omega is, and the gamma is. So the omega has skills that he or she does not use. This is a working for the weekend type person. The omega and the gamma both. This is a skate, skate through it type person. This is not a self-starter, but with skills that can be harnessed. So if you've got an omega or a gamma on your work team, you can turn that into something. How? Yep. All right. So that's the omega and the gamma. They're not alphas. They're not natural leaders, but they have unharnessed skills. The delta, number 5 on the new designation list, the delta is the failed alpha. So think of the delta as maybe poised to be an alpha early in life, maybe the firstborn, maybe prone to physicality, maybe leads by force, maybe is resistant to challenge and status dependent and narcissistic in ways, poised to be an alpha, but something went wrong. This is the leader that no one will follow. What the alpha has is gravitas and vision. For all of the weaknesses of the alpha has gravitas and it has vision. The alpha can lead and will lead, must lead, and people will follow. People, think of George Patton, one of the great alphas. Think of Winston Churchill, a great alpha male, part of a system, comfortable as being part of a system, a natural born leader, a strong communicator. Okay? Now think of the delta. The delta doesn't have those aspects usually. The delta wants to lead, but no one will follow. The delta is often the cult leader who can only manage a few hundred followers. The delta is what we think of as the beta male. Okay? When you think of the beta male, change all that in your head. It's not some weak, simpering wannabe. That's the delta, not the beta. The beta is the stalwart, the strong pillar of society. The delta is the person you're thinking of as the beta. The delta is the conniver. The delta is the person who's the suck up, who's the schemer, who's the gossip guy or gal. The delta is the person who thinks of themselves as an alpha, but is a joke to other people. The delta is the one who will listen to what you say and use it against you and smack talk you behind your back. The delta is the schemer, the scammer. They do personality mirroring. That's a technique the delta uses in order to get by. The delta is the hardcore narcissist in society. The delta is where you'll find your sociopath. That's the alpha and the delta primarily are your narcissists, your self-glorifying, but insecure, afraid that they'll be discovered, The man behind the curtain. Oh, the Wizard of Oz. I could do that. I could break down for you all the characters of the Wizard of Oz and tell you if they're alpha, delta, beta, gamma. Hmm. Maybe in an upcoming Fletch Me Anything. Anyway, so that's the delta. I do that, by the way, in my book with the Godfather cast. If you're a Godfather fan like I am, this book and my live presentation, Tracking the Lone Wolf, and my show, I do an episode of my show, Tracking the Lone Wolf, on what I call the Godfather equation, which is reconsidering all of the men of the Godfather and figuring out, and using them to illustrate what a delta is, what a gamma is, what a sigma is. So, if you want to know, Fredo is a delta. So the deltas, watch them. That brings us to the sigma. The sigma, the sixth designation, is the lone wolf. That's the person who is, it's 1% of the population. Some people say it's 0.2%, and some people say it's 2%. So I just average it out to be 1%. Fair enough, right? So this is a character who has the qualities of the alpha, but not the drawbacks, not the weaknesses, not the narcissism. The alpha, the sigma has intelligence, the capacity to lead, the gravitas to lead, the drive and the focus, and usually some special skill, like a mathematical skill or an artistic skill, like that. Rarely both, I would venture to say. But the sigma is not reliant on status, because the sigma has no status. The alpha has status, because the alpha is closely associated with structure, with systemic structure. The alpha needs that. The alpha needs community. It needs the penal system, the educational system, these theaters. It needs those because it needs something to lead. It needs somewhere to be the head of. The alpha needs community because it needs to lead. The leader needs followers. But the sigma can forego leadership. So it doesn't really need community as much. It doesn't need followers. The sigma doesn't. But the sigma has the qualities to lead, but forgoes the self-glorification that the alpha has. The sigma has the humility of the beta and more drive and focus, but still the intelligence of the omega and the gamma, and sometimes the frivolity, a little bit of fun. But it does not have the weaknesses of the delta. No pretense of leadership. No desire to assert superiority, which the delta would have, which the alpha would have. Now, for this reason, the sigma is prone to long hours of isolation. The sigma is used to being isolated. So in a workplace, the sigma is comfortable with, long hours of individual pursuit. Like I'm a writer. What does that require? Long hours of individual pursuit. You find a lot of sigmas in the arts, because that's what the arts require for mastery, is long hours of individual pursuit. What about medical research? Sigmas. They work in small groups or alone for long hours of isolated work. That's how they work best. Lone wolf. And so if you've got these in your management, in your work team, well, you want to make sure that they're not disturbed during the day. Don't call in your sigma for a meeting in the middle of the day, because that'll throw off their productivity, because they'll spend the first half of the day anticipating the gut punch in the middle of their day, and then it just socks a hole in the middle of their day. And that's not good for the sigma. If you're going to have a meeting with a sigma, do it in the morning. Let them get it over with so they can get to work and indulge in their long hours of isolated study. You can learn all about this right here. And this book is free all this week, free unlimited downloads. There's a link below. So the sigma is an interesting cat. 1% of the population, but there's 99% of the people who have to deal with this, with this character. And They should, because the Sigma is a very valuable personality type due to its rarity and qualities of character, usually great intelligence, and of course, fantastic lovemaking skills. Um, but just because they're hard workers and because they're not interested in people pleasing. They don't need followers. So if you're talking to a Sigma, you're gonna get an honest answer. The problem with that is alphas don't always want an honest answer. What they want is agreement. In fact, alphas blanch at an honest answer if it contradicts them. They don't like to be contradicted. They're alphas. That challenges their status. Therefore, alphas are suspicious of sigmas. Alphas are threatened by sigmas. They don't really like them. They don't really understand them. Most people don't understand sigmas. They are oft misunderstood. If you're a sigma, you're often misunderstood. Are you often misunderstood? Then you may be a sigma. And this is true. However, it also gives them an allure that other people don't have. Some people are drawn to the sigma because they're like, oh, that person's interesting. They don't seem to really, they go their own way. That person draws me to them because they're independent, because they seem to have fixed in on their own thing. And that's true. That is what the lone wolf does and has done and will do. The sigma. So, and you can see how the human being is way too complex just to be an alpha and a beta. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Some people are alphas in some fields and betas in others. I know people who are alphas at home and betas at work. And that's fine. But the alpha does have inherent vulnerabilities, which you should know, even if you're an omega. And if you're an omega, you should know that. An omega can become an alpha or a sigma or an alpha. Some of these creatures are more adaptable than others. A lot of it has to do with two facets of life: culture and climate. And that's all in the book. Every corporation, every family, every social structure has both a culture and a climate. Culture is basically an establishing phenomenon, which is unlikely to change. Corporations are conservative in nature or they are progressive in nature. Families are conservative in nature or they're progressive in nature. Social circles are conservative in nature or they're progressive in nature. Churches, other things. So it's important to understand these concepts in this modern world and not to oversimplify them. But to be simple about it, if you've got a culture doesn't change. A climate does change. Climate is ever changing, in fact. Culture is basically ever static. So the lone wolf, the culture is more attuned to system thinking. There's system thinking, there's process thinking. So a systemic approach to society is one based on culture, and a process approach to life, to culture, to society is based on a process. Climate is a process. It's not about culture, it's about climate. It's about adaptability. To be to be centered in a culture and not a climate is to be static. To be dependent on climate is to be fluid. Adaptability, stasis. It's about, leaders are adaptable. Managers seek stasis. Leaders seek change. So all of these things, it breaks down into a perfect dichotomy, if you will. And you can read all about it in my book, Tracking the Lone Wolf, the Sigma at work, at home, and at play. And now you know alpha, beta, gamma, omega, delta, sigma. You can also learn about them in my new rap song, Tracking the Lone Wolf, Fletch's Rap, which is available as a single and a video. Of course it is. Also watch the new show, Tracking the Lone Wolf, which is on the YouTube channel at Tracking the Lone Wolf. And that's go to my website, trackingthelonewolf.com. So that's pretty much it. And subscribe to that channel because I've got the show is going to be twice monthly for all year. And you're going to want to subscribe to that so that you know you're reminded on the 1st and the 15th of every month that there's a new show, a new webisode. Okay, so that's it. Enjoy your free copy of Tracking the Lone Wolf, available all this week on Kindle, and just download the Kindle Reader app from Amazon. That's free. I got the hiccups. Perfect time to sign off then. So tune in again. I hope this has been informative and helpful for you, my new subscribers. Welcome to you. Thank you for subscribing. Subscribe to the other channel too. That's really a good one. I use green screen and lighting and everything. It's not so rustic and primitive as this show. Anyway, that's it for this week. Keep watching. Follow the links below. Have a good week. Fletcher Roden signing off for Fletch Me Anything, hoping that until next time, you are happy and stay healthy. Bye, Mary.